Hello everyone and welcome back to Nathrandir's Guide to Everything. I'm sorry, it's been a while again. I know I said it would be more consistent. I am trying to be. It's just the festive period. It's just busy, COVID, things like that. You know how it is, I'm sure. But welcome back nevertheless. It's good to be back once again. Today we have a Legend Forge episode for you, which was a character request and one of the first ones I ever got actually for Yuji Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen, which I'm really excited about. I did enjoy the anime. I don't watch too much of it, but this one I did enjoy very much so. And this is a Legend Forge where we take characters from pop culture and we mold them into the D&D format. So I'm excited to try and do that with you, with Yuji today. And just a disclaimer, this is my version of this character. Often anime characters are completely overpowered compared to what we could possibly achieve in a D&D format. There's just no way to represent it all, but we're going to do our best today. But without further ado, and we hit 500 subscribers. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment and subscribe. On that note, we have community tabs now, so I can keep you up to date on what I'm doing when I'm not making videos. So that's really fun. Lots of D&D stuff out early this year. I'm really excited to go through it all with you. So without further ado, let's jump into this week's episode of The Legend Forge. Welcome back to D&D Beyond and welcome back to our character creators. We've got two different kinds of views today. We have a martial focused one and a caster focused one. I know he's not a caster, but just bear with me. We'll get to it in a moment. So first up we have our race. We have a variant human. He knows the infernal language coming from Sukuna. Couldn't decide whether it would be abyssal or infernal really for curses, but there you go. We've taken a dive in and we have our ability score increases in constitution and dexterity. Just makes sense. He can take a hit and he can deal a hit out, and he's quick and he's agile. Like I said, it's impossible to make anime characters really in D&D, but we do our best. And we have proficiency in acrobatics because he definitely is proficient in such. We have the mobile feat as our variant human bonus here. Our speed increases by 10 feet, which he definitely is quick on his feet. If we dash, difficult rating doesn't affect us, and we don't provoke opportunity if we make a melee attack against a creature. Fantastic. You could swap this out for tough. If I was playing this, I think I would stick with mobile, that extra 10 feet. We've got 60 feet movement around, by the way. We're level 20. Absolutely crazy. 60 feet. It's just ridiculous. This is no items or anything as well. Anyway, tangent. You could use tough as well to make yourself more constitution, I guess, have more health, which would be very beneficial too. For our classes, we've gone with Way of Mercy Monk. Now just hear me out here. We have D8 hit points. We have athletics proficiency, history proficiency, and cook's utensils. I feel like in anime there's a lot of like cooking scenes. It just seems that there's a good food focus in most animes, and I love Asian food as well, so just makes sense. History could come from Sukuna being like 1,000 years old, and athletics obviously is the clear choice for a physical character as Yuji is. We gain AC bonuses if we're not wearing armor, equal to our dex and wisdom. Martial arts, this is just bread and butter monk, really. I'm not going to go through that right now. He's a martial artist, which he is. I mean, that's all there is to say. We have the optional class feature enabled dedicated weapon, which means we can pick a particular weapon and be extra good with that. We can use our key through it, things like that. And obviously, actually, our key itself, we have Flurry of Blows, Patient Defense, and Step of the Wind available to us. Extra attacks, we can dodge, and we can dash as a bonus action. Always good. We have unarmored movement. Our speed increases by 10 feet as long as we're not wearing armor. And also at 9th level, we gain the ability to move along vertical surfaces across liquids without falling during the move, which is ridiculous and very anime. I love it. We have key fueled attack as well. We can spend 1 key point or more as part of your action on your turn. We can make 1 attack with an unarmed strike or a monk weapon as a bonus action before the end of the turn, so just more attacks, always. And so for our monastic tradition, like I said, we've gone with Way of Mercy. Now again, just wait. We're almost there. Deflect missiles, we can ping things back if an arrow comes our way. Really cool. We don't obviously typically see that in the show, but it's just a great feature to have. And again, this is not perfect, but we see. At Implements of Mercy, we gain proficiency in the Insight and Medicine skills. I think, again, you could say this is fair. With Sukuna, this the King of Curses inside of us, I think it's fair to say he'd have a good read on people, and he'd know what wounds are, if that makes sense. How someone died, perhaps? Not really sure. We're stretching a little bit here, but the special mask, which you often wear when using the features of the subclass, you can determine its appearance. I would say you could just be the tattoos that Sukuna, when he comes out, appears on his face, or the mouths, or the eye, whatever you want. The Hand of Healing, which we never really see Yuji heal anything. This is literally just, I guess, a bonus. If you were to play this class properly, you could say, oh, I can heal with my cursed energy. I don't know. But we're going to basically ignore this. This is not why we've chosen this class. But our Mystical Touch can mend wounds. We can spend a key point to touch a creature, including ourselves, and restore a number of hit points equal to an attack, basically. But we're here for the Hand of Harm. You can use your key to inflict wounds. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can spend 1 key point to do extra necrotic damage equal to 1 roll of your martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier. You can only use this feature once per turn. Once per turn, but it's amazing because every attack we make we do necrotic damage. So this is here to represent the Divergent Fist and the Black Flash techniques that Yuji uses during the show. And a few spoilers there, I guess, but I'm sure if you're here, you've watched the show, so you probably understand what I'm talking about. And now, while this doesn't make it feel as big as it is in the show. It's consistent extra damage, and just punching with cursed energy would do such a thing, and that's how we're going to flavour it here. Quickened healing, we just get a bit of healing. I mean, we just have huge resistance with this class, and you'll see we took some points in Barbarian, so yeah. We shouldn't be dying very easily, I don't think. For our first ability score improvement, we've gone for a double into Dex. We need to get that as high as possible, as quick as possible. Slow fall, I mean, again, anime, they seem to be able to just jump and run on walls and do whatever they want, basically. We'll just reduce the damage we would take from there. We can use focused aim to spend key points to make sure we can hit something. I guess that could be Sukuna intervening. You just got to flavour all this, you see. 5th level extra attack is what it sounds like. Stunning Strike, the bread and butter of a monk class. Hit something, stun it. Again, this if you're fighting curses or fiends, I guess, as they probably would be in D&D. You can attempt to stun them and have to make a con save, or they are disabled for 1 turn. You could label this as cursed energy flowing through the body of a creature and they can't handle it. Lots of options here with that. Stunning Strike's just really good, to be honest. Keen Power Strikes, we can punch ghosts, as Beauregard says in Critical Role very well. Basically, you're determined as being magical punches, which makes sense, because seeing as we're punching with cursed energy. Unarmored movement, we get more movement. Physician's Touch, again, this is, yeah, it's not really relevant to us, but I'll go through it anyway. You can administer even greater cures with a touch. When you use Hand of Healing, you can also cure a condition. Like I said, we're probably not going to be using Hand of Healing, to be honest with you. We have Evasion, which means when we make a dex save against area of effect spells like a fireball, we can instead take 0 damage as opposed to half on a success. Very cool. Stillness of Mind, I feel like this is great because I don't think Sukuna would be essentially frightened of anything. Yuji might, but then that's when the curse comes out and we can just end the condition on ourselves of charmed or frightened, because I wouldn't imagine he'd be very down with that. Ability score improvement, second time around we've gone with Constitution and Wisdom. Unarmed movement improvement, we get that ability to walk on water and things like that. Just ridiculous, really. Purity of Body. Now, it is very well known that Sukuna is basically completely immune to poisons, so this is perfect. The mastery of the ki flowing through you means you're immune to disease and poison. Fantastic. Unarmored movement, we get another bonus. Bonus speed increases to 20 feet. And we have Flurry of Healing and Harm. And we're just going to focus on the Harm one here because that's why we took this class. When you make an unarmed strike with Flurry of Blows, you can use Hand of Harm with that strike without spending the key point for Hand of Harm. You can still only use it once per turn. So we just get better action economy. We use 1 key point to Flurry of Blow, and we get Hand of Harm on that attack as well. So we don't have to spend 2 a turn, it's just the 1 to get all those bonuses, that extra necrotic damage from the Black Flash or the Divergent Fist. And for our third ability score improvement at level 12, we have a double into Dexterity. Incredible. So now we've done the 12 levels in Monk. We have 4 levels in Barbarian, and again, I wouldn't know what order to do this in as you level up. Probably just go straight 12 Monk to start with, and then subclass afterwards, just so you're optimized for the where most games would usually take place, but to represent his crazy constitution, because we only have a limited amount of bonus points we can apply to get constitution high, I thought a barbarian rage would be perfect, and a zealot specifically for one ability. So a rage, we can halve any incoming damage from bludgeoning, slashing or piercing. Forgot what it was called for a second then. Our AC is basically the same as the monk, but it uses con instead of wisdom. Probably not beneficial right now, depending on where you want to put your points. Reckless attack is basically we can choose to attack recklessly, give ourselves advantage on all attacks for the rest of the turn, but then we are easier to hit afterwards. Danger sense, we have advantage on dexterity saving throws against things that we might not otherwise be able to see. We have a danger sense, we have spidey sense. And another optional class feature, I've just got optional class features just enabled for everything here. And when we reach 3rd level, we get a thing. I thought intimidation, because while we're raging, whatever, you could use that as the Sukuna mode, basically with the tattoos and the eyes and things like that, and the mouths. So that would be quite intimidating, I would imagine. We've also gone for Path of the Zealot for our primal path, and that is specifically for this ability here, our Divine Fury. When you hit this level while we're raging, the first creature you hit on each of your turns with a weapon attack takes extra damage equal to 1d6 plus half your barbarian level. So 1d6 plus 2 in this case. The extra damage is necrotic or radiant. You choose the damage type when you gain this feature. This would absolutely be necrotic, so you could say everything before this was just Divergent Fist, and then when you have once per turn, basically, you can pump this Divine Fury, this Black Flash, into a creature and do even more necrotic damage as on top of the Hand of Harm that we previously would have had from the Way of Mercy. So it's just stacking that extra cursed energy in this case. It's not particularly optimal because it says weapon attack, and your fists aren't considered weapons. It is an unarmed strike still, but we do have access to Slaughter Demon, a dagger or something like that you could use, and you could just flavor it, right? I mean, talk with your DM about this kind of thing, but I wouldn't have a problem with it if I was DMing. So Warrior of the Gods, your soul is marked for endless battle. If a spell such as Raise Dead has the sole effects of restoring your life but not in death, the caster does not need material components to cast a spell on you. Yuji is revived by Sukuna at some point during the anime, will not spoil. I guess that is spoilers in itself, but basically that just happens almost as a deal, a patron, like a warlock pact, but nevertheless I think restoring himself back to life wouldn't be too much of a stretch, I don't think, for free basically. Ability score improvement, we've gone for a double into wisdom to power some of our monk skills moving forwards. But yeah, you see why I went for the Path of the Zealot there. That Divine Fury I think just makes it. And finally, we're basically, the only reason I went for Fighter here is the ability I was talking about. 1, Action Surge, more attacks, more everything, it's just incredible. More constitutional stuff. With Second Wind we can heal ourselves a little bit, and we've gone for a champion martial archetype, so we could basically a crit fisher. So you could just say whenever you get a crit, that's the Black Flash. Everything else before that is just more powerful punches, divergent fists, something like that. But improved critical, we're going to be rolling a lot of attacks with this character, so being able to crit on a 19 or 20 is just sweet, tops it off. And for our ability score improvement, double into wisdom. Scores we've gone for 12 in strength, 15 in dex, 14 in con, 8 in intelligence, 13 in wisdom, and 10 in charisma. I feel like he's actually more charismatic than that. Yuji's quite likable. I think he's more intelligent than 8 as well. Not by much, mind. But I would just say, don't read into these stats too much, I think, because he would have higher strength than this as well, but we're limited by what we can do with the D&D stuff here, really. This is just to make a functional character, a version of Yuji. You see, he does have proficiency in athletics, so his rolls for that are still pretty good. I'll show you now. So we have the Haunted One background. I think that's fair. He's died, he's got a cursed energy inside him, makes sense. We have skill proficiency, survival and arcana, and that would be to like identify magical objects, the fingers that they're hunting, and just be very hard to kill, I imagine, so survival in that sense. Personality characteristics, again, don't read into these too much, I just thought some of them made a bit of sense. I don't run from evil, evil runs from me. Correct, he's the king of curses, or Sukuna is, sorry, not Yuji, so this makes sense that other curses might shy away from that. I tried to help those in need no matter what the personal cost. I think Yuji's very selfless in the show, and Bonds, there's evil in me, I can feel it, it must never be set free, which I guess is true. No one wants Sukuna to come back, for sure. Equipment doesn't really matter for now, just very basic stuff. We've added one magic item which I have homebrewed, which will be available when the video goes live. Just search NGT bracket, NGTE bracket, and you should be able to find it, or just search Slaughter Demon. So that does actually round out our martial build for this character. So every turn you'll be attacking with Hand of Harm for extra necrotic damage. On the first one, you'll have your, as long as you're raging, you'll have the Zealot Barbarian's necrotic damage as well, to really lean into that cursed energy techniques when you're fighting something. And finally, to round it off, we have Slaughter Demon here, which let's tick that as our dedicated weapon, which can be thrown. It isn't in the show, but basically it's a +1 dagger. It's a combat knife with a fur guard and a black handle. It has a wide-edged blade with 2 holes and bandages at its base, imbued with cursed energy so that even non-sorcerers could use it to exercise curses. And that's why it's not attunable, but it's pretty damn good. Like I said, it's a +1 weapon, and it has a feature, cursed energy. If you hit a fiend with this magical weapon, you deal an additional 1d8 necrotic damage, and that target can't regain any hit points until the start of your next turn. So this just makes this character excel beyond belief. Yes, we only have 2 attacks per action, but we have access to Axe and Surge and Flurry of Blows and all these other bits on top. I'd love to play this character, genuinely. I think it would be an absolute blast, but I am conscious of time, so let's just take a quick look at our statistics here, and then we'll move on to the other version, which is the caster type version that I've created. We have proficiency in strength and dexterity saving throws +7, +11. Like I said, our athletics are +7, acrobatics +11, but we have some really good mental skills as well. Our insight's fantastic, medicine's great, and our survival is fantastic too. We are immune to disease and poison. We have 19 armor class, which isn't outstanding for a monk. Like, you can get way higher than that, but our walking speed is 60 feet with the mobile feat, which is absolutely ridiculous. If you were to put tough on this character, he goes up by 40 hit points to 215, which is crazy. With a rage on top of that and all the other abilities we have, could be outstanding. I think that's it. Let's go over to the caster one. So over to the caster, everything else is the same with the race, but when we go to the class, things have changed a bit. So we've changed our subclass from the Way of Mercy, because we're not leaning into that necrotic damage on a punch to represent the cursed energy anymore. We're going for a blade singing wizard now. Hear me out. Way of the Open Hand monk. Ever so slightly different. We don't have any of that way of healing, way of Hand of Harm stuff. We have an open hand technique, which means when we hit something, this is more, I guess, traditional monk kind of thing. So basically, whenever you hit a creature with one of the attacks granted by your Flurry of Blows, you can impose one of the following effects. You can force them to be knocked prone after a dex saving throw. You can force them to make a strength saving throw. If it fails, you can push it 15 feet away, or it can't take reaction until the end of your next turn. Really, really good, so you can move away for free, basically. Quickened healing, we've already been through. Ability score improvement, double into dex. We have slow fall, we have focused aim, extra attack, stunning strike, keen power strikes, unarmed movement, wholeness of body, which I think all of these we've already covered. No, wholeness of body is new. As an action, we can regain hit points equal to 3 times our monk level, so 30 on a long rest. Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good, even late game. 30 hit points, nothing to scoff at. We have evasion, we have stillness of mind, which we've already been through. Ability score improvement, dex and wisdom at level 8 here. Unarmed movement improvement, purity of body, immune to disease and poison, we had to keep that in there, and more speed. Much simpler, way less going on, but we've got way more going on because we've got some points in wizard. Now, you have to be intelligent to have points in wizard, so it's not exactly how Yuji is, but I think Sukune is very intelligent, so you could argue it comes from that side of it instead. And I think this all comes down to spell choice here. So I was doing more research into Sukune, and while we don't see it much in the show itself, he's said to have fire wielding capabilities, the King of Curses, and a lot of the time Yuji actually does use his environment quite a lot, punches the floor, makes the earth crack, things like that, and a little bit more in the manga he does this as well. From what I've heard, I've never read it, disclaimer. This is what I've read on the internet never lies. We know that, right? Regardless, I'll stop talking about why and just show you what it is. 1d6 hit points on a wizard. Proficiency, we don't get any because it's a multi-class. We have arcane recovery, which means you can recover some spells on a short rest. We've gone for the blade singing tradition, which I've never played, which I really want to. It sounds really cool. and we can choose proficiency in a particular kind of weapon. In this case, we have chosen dagger, and we can now wear light armor, which is quite cool if you wanted to go down that route, increase your AC a bit. And we also gain proficiency in the performance skill. And now you could argue that in anime, when characters are fighting, it is basically a performance, like a dance. I mean, some of the set pieces that you see in the show are absolutely ridiculous. The Blade Song, if you don't know what a Blade Singer is, we can invoke elven magic called the Blade Song, provided that we're not wearing armor or a shield, and it grants us supernatural speed, agility, and focus. Sounds very anime so far, right? It lasts for a minute, which is as long as most combat should ever last, so you should be fine here. It also ends if you attack with a two-handed weapon, but we won't be, so don't worry. And while our Blade Tongue is active, we gain the following benefits. We have a bonus to our AC equal to our intelligence modifier. Walking speed increases. Oh, and I should mention, on this particular class, in our feature for our race, we've gone with tough here because we need it, because we only have some wizard hit points. So mobile doesn't feature here, but we make up for it with Blade Tongue, so it's all good. The other feature of Blade Song is we have an advantage on dexterity acrobatics checks always, so we can do like dope monk shit and all the other bits. It's very anime. This does work. It fits, I swear. We get a bonus to Constitution saving throw to main concentration on any of our spells, and this is a bonus. Bonus equals our intelligence modifier, which is +4 at this particular level. We couldn't get it to maximum, unfortunately. Still pretty damn good. So try keeping some concentration spells. They're the kind of ones you want to take because you'll have a bit of proficiency in it. For our ability score improvement, we've gone with wisdom and intelligence at level 4. At 6th level we get an extra attack. Doesn't really matter, we have one from monk anyway, so kind of irrelevant here. At level 8 we get another ability score improvement, double into intelligence here. And at 10th level we have Song of Defense. You can direct your magic to absorb damage while your Blade Song is active. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to expend a spell slot, reduce that damage to you by an amount equal to 5 times the spell slot's level, which is massive. And again, anime characters, and specifically Yuji, he can take some hits, some real big hits. So this kind of is the other version. When we took Barbarian and with the other class, this kind of covers that side here. We have a bit of intense healing within ourselves, the ability to just absorb things. Abilities wise, we've actually, because I couldn't figure out a way to make this work with the standard array because it's so multi-ability dependent, and if you ever see on forums and stuff the acronym MAD, that means multi-ability dependent, which often is a bad thing unless you've rolled fantastically well, like we have here on our ability scores. So I rolled this array here and I thought, yes, this is perfect, let's use it. So we've put 13 into strength, 16 into dex, 13 into constitution, 15 into intelligence, 15 into wisdom, and 13 into charisma. Because to make this class work, this particular one, we have to have dex, intelligence, and wisdom. You just have to have all of those things. Intelligence to make our blade song work, and wisdom to make our monk side work, and obviously dexterity for everything else. For our description, exactly the same, nothing has changed, carbon copy of the previous one. Equipment, carbon copy of the previous one. Let's jump into the character sheet and let's see what we've got here. A few things have changed. You'll notice our ability scores are, I guess, much improved actually overall. 13 in strength, 20 in dexterity, 14 in con, 18 in intelligence, wisdom is 17, and charisma is 13. He's pretty OP, and we're going to try and embody that. But yeah, even with tough on, you'll notice only 173 hit points, which is the same we had with the mobile feat on the other character. So there are trade-offs here, hit points, especially your resistance to things specifically, but our choice of spells make everything work here. So we've still got Slaughter Demon equipped. It does a little less damage, as you can see, 1d6 plus 6 as opposed to 1d8 plus 8 from beforehand. But with all our Blade Song stuff, it shouldn't matter because we have spells. So for our spells, I'll show you everything I've put in the spell book, which you would have at this level, a 10th level wizard. Is all of those things there. I'm not going to, I guess, read them all out, but the key here is we needed stuff that enhances Yuji's physical ability, because that's what he focuses on mainly in the anime. Like, he's ridiculous when he's moving around and stuff, and also wielding fire, which Sukuna is said to be able to do. So I hope this makes sense. So let me just go through what I've prepared first of all. That's probably the better way to do it, isn't it? So cantrips, we have Booming Blade. Now, because it's 20th level, it's 3d8 damage, which is just ridiculous. But Booming Blade, this is now our flavour for Divergent Fist or Black Flash. You hit something, and then if they move, they explode with damage afterwards, and it's literally a thunderous sound like when he hits a creature in the anime itself. So Booming Blade is now our fuel for those kind of attacks, but don't forget we have Flurry of Blows as well, so that can function as our Divergent Fist. It just all fits together so well. But we have some fire themed spells, so we have Control Flames, Firebolt, Green Flame Blade, which is again very much like Booming Blade. You could say that when you punch them in, because the aura they have when they're surrounded by cursed energy is almost fire-like, like Super Saiyan-like. So I think that fits there perfectly as well. Green Flame Blade, you hit something, transfer some cursed energy which surrounds them and burns them, and other things in the area. Mind Sliver, I went for this Disorienting Spike of Energy. I mean, I couldn't find another cantrip that I thought fitted, so we went with this. I feel like Sukuna can invade people's minds with his eyes, and you could just say it's intimidation, basically. Absorb Elements, because he's super resistant to basically everything, so again, rather than our Barbarian Rage, we use this instead. We have Burning Hands, fire themed. Disguise Self, bit of a stretch, but basically this would just be the difference between Sukuna being always out and him just looking like Yuji. Obviously, he can't just change forms. Just a bit of flavour thrown in there, just so you could explain why the extra eye isn't always there, or the tattoos, something like that. Jump makes sense. Anime, you have to be able to cast Jump if you're doing anything anime related. Long Strider, we have more speed. Again, that takes us up to that 60 feet that we're missing out from the other class, so pretty good. We also have Kinetic Jaunt, which is a new spell. We can magically empower our movement. This is almost like an extra Blade Song, but this is Concentration, which we have a bonus to because of Blade Song. All the things. Walking speed increases by 10 feet. We do not provoke opportunity attacks, and you can move through the space of another creature, and it doesn't count as difficult terrain. And if we end our turn in another creature's space, we are shunted to the next space. It's awesome. It just makes you unstoppable, basically. Scorching Ray, fire themed, a Shardalon Stride, a really cool new spell as well. Billowing Flames of a Dragon blast from your feet, granting you explosive speed. For the duration, your speed increases by 20 feet, and moving doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. So all of these, again, concentration focused. We're just moving around the battlefield like an anime character. Fire literally streaking behind us. It does damage to creatures. It's just so good. I reckon this would probably be the most used spell on the list, to be honest with you. It's 3rd level though, so yeah, unlimited spell slots. We have Erupting Earth for punch the floor, make something explode, really cool. Fear, I think, is fair. You could say Sukuna comes out in all his glory with 4 arms and the whole cursed energy. You could cause fear on a creature. We have Haste, which again is just another level of Blade Song. It's just a better version of like Kinetic Jaunt. We get extra attacks, we have more AC. It's crazy. We love Haste. Haste is an incredible spell. Always take it if you can. Always. Remove Curse, I think, is fair. You could kind of mix this in with Slaughter Demon's capabilities of when you hit something, you could say, I remove a curse from a creature, and again, we are expelling cursed energies, we're exercising them. 4th level, we actually have none prepared, but you can cast all of those previous ones at 4th level. And then at 5th level, this is where it gets a bit more exciting. We have Contact at the Plane. We can ask Sukuna some questions, something like that. But it does damage if we don't succeed in an intelligence saving throw, so that's something. Modify Memory. Spoilers for the show here. Sukuna does actually make a pact with Yuji and modifies his memories during one of those scenes. And apparently in the manga, this is consistent, and Yuji starts to develop some of those capabilities. Really excited to see where that goes. Modify Memory spell. Could be really, really cool. And finally, to represent a serious Black Flash, the 5 in a row that he manages. 4? 5? I forget specifically, but we have Steel Wind Strike. You flourish the weapon used in casting, and then vanish to strike like the wind. Choose 5 creatures you can see within range. Make a melee attack, spell attack against each target on a hit. They take 6d10 force damage to 5 targets. This is a ridiculous spell, but that does in fact round out our 2 builds of Yuji Itadori. I hope this inspires you. That's what it is here for. Don't follow my thing strictly. You do exactly what you want. You play it how you want. But this just gives you a good idea of how to play a similar character. And this is my version of it. Welcome back to Nathrandir's Guide to Everything, and goodbye. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it. It's nice to be back. Hopefully I can be more consistent. I'll see you all 530 of you, hopefully more by the time this video goes out, next time. This has been The Legend Forge. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.